Welcome to my very first Bakkie review. Sorry for the wait. Hi guys, Eric here and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be having a look at this 2015 Volkswagen Amarok 2-litre by TDI 132 kilowatt Highline. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This isn't really what I expected. As it turns out, I had it the other way around.
A really big thank you to the accommodating, thoughtful and helpful staff here at ASJ Motors. They have a huge selection of quality used cars located in two locations in the Overberg region. One is in the industrial area of Hermanus, the other is located on the main road of Verliesdorp. They are open for business, so be sure to check out their catalogue, link in the description box below.
If you live in the Western Cape and you have an original car in good condition you would like me to review, please get in touch. There's an email address in the description box below. It is interesting to note that this behemoth isn't the first Bakkie to come from Volkswagen. It all started back in 1979 when VW released the Caddy Bakkie, known as the Rabbit pickup in America. It was a small two-seater Bakkie based on the first-generation Golf. The Caddy name was adopted in 1982 when it was released in Europe. Locally, it was produced in Uitenhage until 2007. It was available with a 1.6 petrol, a 1.6 diesel and a 1.8 petrol engine with power ranging from 44 kilowatt for the diesel to 70 kilowatt for the 1.8 petrol unit. Quite a far cry from the Amarok we have here today. Amarok translates roughly to wolf in the Inuit community. The Amarok began production back in 2010, with South Africa being the test market outside of South America. It was available with 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel and petrol engines in different states of tune. You also had a choice of a single or double cab. Safety was good for a Bakkie, with Euro NCAP awarding the 2007 model 4 out of 5 stars and Australian ANCAP giving it the maximum 5. The Amarok we have here is the 2-litre by TDI Highline 4Motion automatic, the top of the range of its time, if you will, until the 3-litre V6 arrived in 2017. Personally, I really like the design. It looks rugged and utilitarian, yet upmarket. You can also immediately tell that this is a Volkswagen. Its styling is rather angular, where the Hilux and Ranger have softer lines, but I think that is the reason why it aged just a little bit better. The Amarok is a classic example of why brand identity is so important. In this Highline spec, you get splashes of chrome on the grille, bumpers and door mirrors, as well as attractive 18-inch wheels. The 2-litre bi-turbo engine produces a decent 132 kilowatt and 400 Nm of torque. Power is sent to all four wheels via an 8-speed torque converter automatic designed by ZF. It even comes well equipped when it comes to off-roading. You get a standard diff lock as well as off-road stability control and ABS. Not bad at all. What is the interior like? Sit inside it and it definitely delivers on what it promises, to a massive extent at the very least. This is definitely a Volkswagen. Its DNA is very apparent at first glance. There is quite a few part sharing bits from other Volkswagens, but not too many that you feel cheated. The general design is, I'm gonna say it's alright. The ergonomics are excellent, as with almost all VWs, and the design looks pleasant. I would say that it does the utilitarian with a upmarket twist fairly well. It's definitely more Aryan here than it is in a Toyota Hilux. And there's also an abundance of space. The passenger seat feels so far away, it reminds me a bit of older American cars. This is where the good points end. It's really quite gloomy in here. Mercifully, in true VW fashion, there are pinches of chrome dotted about, and build quality is excellent. But there simply isn't enough bling to lift the cabin. There's also way more hard and scratchy plastics in here than there is in a Polo. Now, I understand that hard plastics are easier to clean, but this is supposed to be an upmarket Bucky, and when it comes to use of materials at least, I struggle to feel that. Seriously, the plastics on top of the dash feels hard and rough. It's even quite hollow. The plastics that surround the stereo unit and climate controls also look a bit subpar. It's really rather disappointing. The same can be said about the plastics on top of the doors, but this is where things start to look up. When it comes to the design of the door panel, I wouldn't call it boring, but I wouldn't call it exciting either. It's very German. It might not look like much, but this one panel houses most of the Amarok's upmarket features. For instance, the door handle is made out of solid metal and it has a brushed effect. The trim piece that surrounds this armrest, as well as the window switches, is soft and yielding plastic. And, most importantly, the very generously sized door pocket is lined in felt to help mitigate rattles. The window switches offer very good dampening, and they are one touch for every single one of the windows. Now, the doors might not feel quite as heavy as other VWs, but it does close with a very Germanic thud. The steering wheel definitely looks upmarket because it's almost the exact same wheel you would find in a 2011 VW Passat. Its rim is wrapped in soft leather. There is a generous amount of chrome, and the buttons on the steering wheel provide excellent feedback. The column is also adjustable not only for rake but reach as well, making finding a comfortable driving position so much easier. The stalks are clearly labelled and easy to understand, and they provide good dampening. One thing to note though is that the cruise control has moved from a stalk of its own to the indicator stalk. Thankfully, this does work really well, especially when you get used to it. The dials, much like the steering wheel, looks almost exactly the same as those you will find in a Passat of the Amarok's vintage. They are simple, attractive, and really easy to read. You also get an analog fuel and water temperature gauge. I particularly like the silver bezels as it really adds to the ambience in here. In between the two analog dials, you will find a monocolor LCD driver's information display. It communicates a full trip computer, vehicle settings, service info, as well as audio information. The monocolor infotainment system on our test unit performs rather well. There is a myriad of shortcut buttons and loading times are almost non-existent. It does look really dated though, even for 2015. It helps to make up for this by being very well equipped. An SD card slot, an auxiliary port, and USB input. You even get Bluetooth audio, which to me is an absolute must. The standard fit sound system is excellent. It packs more than a decent punch. The climate controls are ergonomically very well thought out. You adjust the temperature using dials and fan speed via an elongated button. This makes it so much easier to feel your way to the climate controls without having to take your eyes off the road for too long. The gear lever, much like the steering wheel, and the dials, and the infotainment system and climate controls come straight out of other VW models. But it looks really simple and attractive and wrapped in leather. The manual handbrake follows suit, and it really adds to the upmarket ambience in here. These leather seats are firm yet surprisingly comfortable. They might look a bit dreary, but that is par for the course for the segment, if you ignore the ultra-luxurious GW MP series. The driver's seat is adjustable for height and adjustable for lumbar support, making a massive difference in driving comfort. With the design out of the way, let's talk practicality. When it comes to storage, the Amarok performs alright, if not great, for a Bucky. Sure, the door pockets are very big. You get a large tray in front of the gear lever and yet another tray on top of the dash. You even get 2 cup holders. But the glove box is below average, and that is me being kind to it. And because of the manual handbrake, the space underneath the center armrest is half what you would expect. Thankfully, you do get a sunglass holder that is lined in a rubber material to keep your sunglasses from getting scratched. And I like neat details like that. Get in the back and things are alright. There's a decent amount of knee room and just about enough headroom for an average size adult. The middle seat is also nice and wide, but don't expect enough shoulder room for 3 adults sitting abreast. Thankfully, the rear bench is raised slightly, so you get a good view out front, and the window line is extremely low, so children will be more than happy back here. Storage-wise, you get a very deep door pocket that is also lined in felt, and 2 cup holders that really does look like quite an afterthought. No rear air vents though, and no center armrest either, which I think is quite the missed opportunity. Now for the loading bay. It has a very decent area of 2.52 square meters and can carry up to 912 kilograms. That's not bad. The rear door also feels surprisingly light, which is great for people who aren't built like John Cena. The loading bay comes equipped with lashing rings, but a track for a rear window is on the options list. I must say, I wonder if the Amarok's driving experience is as car-like as VW wants you to think it is. Well, it's big. It is really big. Just by sitting in here, you immediately notice this car's sheer size. Rearward visibility is also rather poor, especially when you have a canopy installed. This is where the bad points end, however. You get rear park distance control as standard, which comes in handy in almost every single situation. All the controls are also nice and light. I would almost go as far to say that they are car-like. The engine is quite refined for a Bucky, and it provides a good amount of torque, so you can do some lane weaving during rush hour traffic should the opportunity arise. The ride is supple for a car in its segment, and the high driving position is excellent for shorter people. Out on the twisties, and I am pleasantly surprised by the Amarok's composure. Don't expect any miracles, but there is surprisingly little body roll considering the car's high center of gravity. The steering, however, is very light, and the engine does become rather rough when you start to push it. Out on the open road, and the Amarok performs very well for a car in its segment. It is so quiet in here. The only thing you actually hear is some wind whistle as well as the background drone coming from the engine. You almost forget about the Amarok's utilitarian qualities. The ride is rather firm, but it is very well dampened, and the engine provides more than enough torque to keep up with traffic. Overtaking though does require some forward planning. When it comes to reliability, the Amarok has proven itself to be very solid as well, with the main bugbears being EGR valves as well as blocked diesel particulate filters. You see, it's always a good idea to take diesel-engined cars out on the open road to help avoid this. A bit more serious is the accessory drive belt that could fail before it is due to be replaced. Other than that though, there isn't too much to worry about. When it comes to its rivals, you are truly spoiled for choice. You have the Toyota Hilux, whose interior isn't as nice, but reliability and resale values are excellent. The Ford Ranger is another excellent all-rounder, better interior than the Hilux and supple ride. The Triton is great as a value proposition and equally capable, and the Isuzu KB has amazing capability and strong reliability. Ultimately, it is down to personal choice. All of them are basically great offerings. Whatever drawbacks the interior might have raised, the test drive really helped to forgive all of them. Forget about the scratchy plastics and you have a fantastic all-rounder on your hands. And I don't really have much else to say about that. Well done, VW. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you enjoyed the review, please remember to give it a thumbs up as it makes the world of difference to my channel. Also, if you haven't already, remember to subscribe and get notified of upcoming videos. I have loads more interesting things coming up for you guys, so stay tuned. If you're interested in some behind the scenes footage and a peek into my personal life, be sure to follow me on my social media platforms. Links are in the description box below. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, bye.